So this is part two. This is part two of the last video that I made. I think I'm gonna go off, like, basically share from my own experience what I've gone through without care versus with care. I think so basically previously when I was misdiagnosed bipolar, I was misdiagnosed bipolar when I was like in high school, and they were considering that I had BPD, but they weren't sure, but they thought it was bipolar. And so I lived my whole life trying all these different medications, various different therapies, not therapies, but like just talk therapy. And although talk therapy helps, it's not the kind of therapy I needed. And so I was in and out of constant toxic relationships. Not all the time. I've had a couple of healthy ones. So I knew what was good and I knew what wasn't. And also in the environment that I grew up in, it wasn't entirely the best. I think my environment really caused my BPD. But like, a lot of my family members came from like a really rough background. I'm not gonna like hold like, what happened to them against, like, what they did, what happened with me with them against them, because like, they did whatever they thought was best despite the circumstances that they were in. They're a lot better than in the conditions and that they were raised in. So I had to deal with also like a bunch of different various mindsets. I was constantly paranoid. Because I was bullied too growing up, and that really affected, like, I was constantly bullied. So I constantly thought negatively about people, thinking that they were always talking about me, and I got really standoffish growing up, um, and then I started getting drunk and smoking pot, and then like just like wanting to just started getting into somewhat destructive behaviors, and I was self-harming a lot from time to time, especially at the end of relationships or any familial issues that I couldn't control. Everything in my life felt like it was out of control. um so there's that. And once I started getting help for I went to church and everything started getting better. Everything became a lot more easier to deal with, but I still struggled with my thought process. And even to this day, I still kind of do, but it's not as bad. Um, um, I, right now, I was in two different relationships during my care. I was with my ex and then my husband right now. My ex, I found out I had BPD, and then, but that relationship was incredibly turbulent. And I think there was just a lot of incompatibility. And I needed space, and there was just like, it was just incompatibility, but it became really toxic. And I realized that, like, if I'm not making this person happy, I should just let them go. And I think that was the best thing for me, because I don't think, there was a lot of things that this person did that hurt me, and I couldn't forgive it. And I know I hurt this person too, and they wanted to make it work, but I'm like, I can't heal in the same environment or with you. And like, I don't think our relationship is right either way, because they were in their own situation of their own. So I felt like it was the right thing to do, and I don't regret leaving that relationship, because I think that person probably found something that was more healthier for them, and then I ended up finding something that was definitely a lot more healthier for me. And when I met my husband, he was also going through his own stuff, but he was going through therapy and doing whatever he was doing, and then I was too. I was already probably like a year or two into my recovery process with BPD, so I was becoming more aware of my own faults. I was able to take accountability for more things. We both had a lot of mental health was both very important to us, because, well, it was important for me because like, obviously, because I wanted to make changes in my life, and for him, his mom dealt with a bunch of things, So he understood a lot and was able to understand me and have a lot of patience for me because he saw how his mom suffered through her own mental illnesses. And so I think that's what helped us really gauge the factor. And then right after I got married, I got pregnant right away. And nearing the end of my pregnancy, I got into remission. But it was a lot easier for me to communicate with my partner, tell him how I feel. I felt a lot more comfortable because I knew him for a really long time. Two, he was like a family friend. My family loved him. His family loved me. Um, and I always saw him at family parties and just like get-togethers, and so it just kind of worked out. Um, and actually, his family was the reason why I got help. So I think that was the even greater part of it all. His family was all about getting your mental health in order. And I think that's what really, really helped. He wasn't quick tempered. He was able to understand because he was also going through his own stuff, and we both accepted each other despite our past and despite our differences in our past. And, we're like, you know what, you've gone through stuff and you've done stuff that you're not proud of. I've done stuff that I'm not proud of. And I think that, if we understand, if we're working on ourselves, we could make this work. And we click, and I was able to talk to him. He supported me and didn't have expectations of me, and I think that was really huge for me because I grew up in a home where there was constant expectations, and I felt really suffocated by them. And so I felt like I was able to grow at my own pace and not have to worry about being something that I'm not. And eventually too, for him, like, we're able to communicate with each other. Like, he'll tell me what's bothering him, and I'll tell him what's bothering me, and we won't fight about it. It's a lot easier that way. Like, we'll acknowledge and genuinely listen to each other, because that's just, we know that the other person is struggling, and if one of us needs space, when the other person is ready to receive it, they'll receive it. Like, for me, I'm a person that needs space, genuinely needs space to calm down and to really think, and then like just pray about like the circumstances and all of these things. But my husband and I have actually like gone through some things and worked it out really well, and honestly, I think this is the person that God has had for me. And so I'm really happy to be married to the person that I am, because I think my partner really helped me in remission. And I think like, you should be with someone that as a person with BPD or is in remission for it, you should be with someone that supports you in your mental health challenges and is there for you. But I've also learned that it's important to have a level of independence. It's good to have interdependence. But I I've constantly been with my therapist, and I don't like to share everything with my husband, because I feel like there's some things that he goes through his own stuff, I go through mine, and there's a middle ground of where I think there's some things that should be said and some things that shouldn't be said. And I've learned to develop a filter over time, because words are painful, and you need to really learn to have a filter, especially with BPD, because sometimes you could say things that you don't mean, and you need to genuinely choose your partner every day, despite what you're feeling like you could split on your partner, but you have to choose them. Like, you can't be blocking the person and like pushing them away. You really need God in the middle of all of this as well. Like, and I'm sorry I'm like mentioning this really late. My last relationship was not a godly one. I felt like there was a lot of things that were not godly about it. My husband and I, we prayed together, we fasted together, we read the Bible together, did Bible plans together, and genuinely wanted to do things right by in the eyes of God. I invited God into my mental health journey. I have a Christian counselor, and that was also really huge and important. A lot of there's DBT therapies that also are Christian. There's DBT books that are Christian, and there's codependency books that are Christian as well. And I think that's also a really, really vital point, is genuinely understanding the forgiveness that God has given us, and the grace that God has given us to really change and move forward. I'm still working on it right now. I'm still working on certain parts of my life, and like, but it's a journey. It's a journey, and it's a journey that you're gonna go through for the rest of your life. But it gets easier, and you learn how to manage your emotions a lot better, especially with all the coping mechanisms that you learn when you learn how to do your daily stuff. If you work out, I'm working out again because I realized that I needed that for myself. And in the past I stopped doing it because I was doing it for other people, and it made me feel not happy with myself. And I decided I'm gonna take care of myself, and um for my family, but also for me. I need to be able to do this for my mental health, and working out helps a lot. God tells us to take care of ourselves, and you know to keep seeking him, and in this journey. And like David constantly was up and down with his emotions, and I think you can relate a lot to David when you're reading the Psalms. You can also learn so much too in the book of Hosea about commitment, true commitment, despite like your partner's flaws and stuff like that. There's certain things that you can take and certain things that you won't take, but you should always pray about your relationships, about how you're feeling. DBT is really hard, like I said, like before in my previous videos. DBT or CBT, when you're trying to change your thoughts, it's painful. Like, I felt like my brain was melting or hurting when I was trying to change my thoughts. And even now, it's a work in progress. I've gotten better at changing my thoughts towards like people outside of my family circle, but I'm still working on changing it within my family circle. But it's gotten better over time with my family circle. So, like, I've been able to take accountability and apologize for things, because there's times like right now I'm going through like some postpartum stuff, and it's been difficult for me. And my emotions have been all over the place. My thoughts have been all over the place. But God has really helped me to navigate, and the people in my church have really been supportive of me through this process, because like it can be a really hard process. And if you don't have the support of like people in your church, it's going to be really hard to get past the season of postpartum, because you're going through an identity change again. And if you have BPD, it's gonna be really hard. So it's just like you have to constantly remind yourself, okay, I am fearfully, wonderfully made. I am a child of God, um and I have purpose. And despite me being a mother and everything changing in my life, I think it's the most beautiful thing that I've ever gone through. I'm so grateful for my son. I'm so grateful for my husband, because like the amount of love that I'm receiving from them is the most that I've ever received in years. And honestly, the love that my husband is giving me is like, I'm just so blessed. I'm beyond blessed. And I'm just so grateful for him. Sorry, I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry. But like, yeah, it's important. Your partner is important. And if you're going to be in a painful relationship, while you're with BPD, it's going to be a lot longer for you to heal. I think I don't recommend staying in a toxic relationship while you're trying to heal from BPD. But I think it's, important that you really put God at the center of it all, to pray and worship him, to read your Bible, to like, just really seek him above all else. And um you know God is really good, and he'll guide you, he'll direct you if you ask him. to help you find a therapist. He'll help you. Like, I know that there's a lot of stigma in the mental health community, but you're capable of finding help. You're capable of receiving that love and care from people and therapists. And I think it's changing over time. I think there's people are becoming more and more aware that people with BPD do need help, and they don't deserve to have so much stigma. A lot, it's like I said, it's on a spectrum. Not every person with BPD is the same. Not every person with BPD is abusive. Not every person with BPD is like, they're all different. And there's a lot of options and care. And I think I'm gonna make a video too of like different like contact information to help you guys with like hotlines and stuff to help you if you need it. But yeah, it's so important to have your brothers and sisters in church with you. But I think that's all I have for now on the top of my head. But God bless you. Take care and have a nice day. I'll probably be posting other stuff too this upcoming week. It's just I'm posting today because I have time today. But take care. God bless. Bye.